Have you ever been called weak just because you stayed silent? What if I told you that silence is often the loudest proof of strength? Let me share something that took me years, painful, humbling years to finally understand. Silence is not the absence of strength, it's the evidence of it. In this noisy world that worships applause, chases likes, and thrives on validation, silence is almost suspicious. But the one who learns how to remain quiet is often the one who's already defeated half their enemies. You don't need to shout to be right. You don't need to fight to be strong. You don't even need to be seen to be significant. You don't owe every critic a reply. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Sometimes, the wisest, boldest move you can make is to walk on quietly, confidently, because there's a stillness that settles on you when you no longer build your worth on the shaky opinions of others. When you know who you are, you no longer need the spotlight to prove it. You stop feeling the urge to explain yourself, to defend your every move, to earn applause you never needed in the first place. And know your silence isn't fear, it's focus. You've simply learned how precious your energy is, and how little of it should be wasted on noise. Not every war is worth waging. Not every accusation deserves a rebuttal. Some arguments are nothing more than traps designed to pull you off course, away from the mission God gave you. There was a time when I thought silence made me look weak, like I was letting people get away with things, like I was losing ground. I believed that if I didn't speak up and correct every false assumption, I was surrendering my power. But I've learned that it takes far more strength to stay calm than to clap back. It takes more power to stay grounded than to shout for attention. The strongest people I know don't raise their voices, they raise their standards. They let their lives do the talking. Their growth, their peace, their fruit, it speaks volumes. Because silence, when chosen with wisdom, is not a passive act. It is a posture of trust. Every time you choose not to react, you're saying, God, I trust you. I trust you to speak for me, to defend me, to fight for me when I cannot. And He will. Sometimes, the reason the door hasn't opened, the reason the breakthrough still hasn't come, is because you're still trying to win battles that were never yours to fight. You're still trying to control outcomes with carefully chosen words, when what God actually wants is surrender. He doesn't need your defense. He needs your faith. Look at Jesus. When He stood before His accusers, mocked, lied about, spit on, He didn't argue. He didn't shout. He didn't justify Himself. He stood in silence. Not because He lacked the power to speak, but because truth doesn't need to be shouted. That silence wasn't weakness, it was power under perfect control. It wasn't fear, it was authority. And in your life, you will be misunderstood. You will be misjudged. You will be underestimated. Let them. Your silence in those moments? It's not silence. It's a declaration. I am rooted. I am steady. I am not moved by noise. And that is where your true strength begins. Truth. Silence is not weakness, but strength under control. It's not giving up. It's trusting God's hand more than your own voice. Now let's go deeper. Have you noticed? The people who shout the loudest are often the ones searching for what they still lack. Validation, recognition, or a sense of worth. But when you know you're walking in purpose, when you're rooted in something real, you don't need to chase applause. You don't need to wave your hands to be noticed because your consistency does the speaking. Your fruit makes the noise. Think of a tree. It doesn't announce every inch it grows. It simply stretches upward, day by day. And eventually, even those who ignored the seed will have no choice but to recognize the fruit. Staying silent isn't about avoiding conflict or pretending nothing bothers you. It's about learning to master your spirit, to guard your peace like it's treasure, because it is. You must come to a place where your calm is unshakable, even when someone else is throwing chaos your way. Can you reach the point where someone's bad mood doesn't throw you off track? Where opinions and whispers can't pull you off the path God laid out for you? Because here's what you need to understand. When the enemy can't destroy you, he'll try to distract you. He'll send confusion. He'll stir up offense. He'll bait you with meaningless arguments and pointless drama just to see if he can get you to step out of alignment. But when you stay silent, when you refuse to play the game, you win every time. Every single time. So don't waste your strength defending what God has already spoken over your life. Let them think what they will. Let them whisper. Let them doubt. Because before elevation comes isolation. God often pulls you aside not to punish you, but to prepare you. He removes the noise, silences the crowd, and sets you apart so you can finally see who you are without the need for applause. So you can learn how to stand whole, even when no one is clapping. Growth doesn't come in the spotlight. It comes in the stillness. It comes in the quiet. And yes, sometimes it comes when you have to walk alone. Picture a seed. Before it ever breaks through the soil, before it becomes something beautiful, it must first be buried, hidden, unseen, uncelebrated. And what happens in that hidden place? It breaks, in the dark, in silence, with no audience, no fanfare, no applause. But that breaking, it's not punishment. It's necessary. Because the seed can't rise in the light until it first breaks in the dark. That kind of isolation is not abandonment. It's divine development. And in your life, there will be seasons where it feels like God is burying you. Not to forget you, but to strengthen your roots before He allows you to bloom. People may not understand what you're doing right now. They may look at your silence and mistake it for distance. They might say you've changed, that you're cold, that you've withdrawn. Let them think what they want. You don't owe them an explanation. Because this season is not about proving, it's about protecting. When you're building something real within yourself, you don't have the luxury of being everywhere. You don't have the energy to please everyone. Because you're too focused on your foundation. You're not available to distractions. You've made a decision to be committed to your destiny. And that means learning how to be okay with the quiet seasons, those times when it feels like nothing is shifting, like your prayers are just echoing into silence. But those silent seasons, that's when God is doing His deepest work. He's not ignoring you. He's pruning your heart. He's healing old wounds. He's stripping away what doesn't belong. And He's building the kind of character that will be able to carry the weight of your calling. You may not see it right now, but one day soon, you'll feel it. When you walk into a room carrying a quiet confidence, when you no longer crave attention just to feel worthy, when you no longer chase love from places that used to drain you, that is the fruit of private growth. That is the power of silence. And listen, this is important. Not everyone is meant to walk with you in this season. Some people were only assigned to your past. They don't belong in your future. And the longer you try to pull them into places they were never designed to go, the more delayed your destiny becomes. So let them go. Let them misunderstand you. Let them call it pride or arrogance if they want to. You don't owe them your process. What you do owe is obedience. Obedience to keep following the path God is laying before you, even when it's lonely, even when it's quiet. Powerful truth. Separation isn't rejection, it's preparation. In the hidden places, in the silence, God begins His deepest work. And now, we begin to understand why. Because before elevation comes isolation. God often pulls you not to punish you, but to prepare you. He removes the noise, silences the crowd, and sets you apart so you can finally see who you are without the need for applause. So you can learn how to stand whole, even when no one is clapping. Growth doesn't come in the spotlight. It comes in the stillness. It comes in the quiet. And yes, sometimes it comes when you have to walk alone. Picture a seed. Before it ever breaks through the soil, before it becomes something beautiful, it must first be buried, hidden, unseen, uncelebrated. And what happens in that hidden place? It breaks. In the dark. In silence. With no audience, no fanfare, no applause. But that breaking, it's not punishment. It's necessary. Because the seed can't rise in the light until it first breaks in the dark. That kind of isolation is not abandonment. It's divine development. And in your life, there will be seasons where it feels like God is burying you. Not to forget you, but to strengthen your roots before He allows you to bloom. People may not understand what you're doing right now. They may look at your silence and mistake it for distance. They might say you've changed, that you're cold, that you've withdrawn. Let them think what they want. You don't owe them an explanation, because this season is not about proving, it's about protecting. When you're building something real within yourself, you don't have the luxury of being everywhere. You don't have the energy to please everyone, because you're too focused on your foundation. You're not available to distractions. You've made a decision to be committed to your destiny. And that means learning how to be okay with the quiet seasons, those times when it feels like nothing is shifting, like your prayers are just echoing into silence. But those silent seasons? That's when God is doing His deepest work. He's not ignoring you. He's pruning your heart. He's healing old wounds. He's stripping away what doesn't belong. And He's building the kind of character that will be able to carry the weight of your calling. You may not see it right now, but one day soon, you'll feel it. When you walk into a room carrying a quiet confidence, when you no longer crave attention just to feel worthy, when you no longer chase love from places that used to drain you, that is the fruit of private growth. That is the power of silence. And listen, this is important. Not everyone is meant to walk with you in this season. Some people were only assigned to your past. They don't belong in your future. And the longer you try to pull them into places they were never designed to go, the more delayed your destiny becomes. So let them go. Let them misunderstand you. Let them call it pride or arrogance if they want to. You don't owe them your process. What you do owe is obedience. Obedience to keep following the path God is laying before you even when it's lonely, even when it's quiet. We uncovered something vital. Not everyone is meant to walk with you. Some were assigned to your past, not your future. And learning to protect your process is an act of obedience, not arrogance. Now, let's continue, because the road ahead isn't always easy. Even when you know you're on the right path, there will be moments when that path feels painfully quiet. Growth is not always graceful. It's uncomfortable. It stretches you. It humbles you. It brings things to the surface: weaknesses, insecurities, blind spots you didn't know were there. But don't run from it. Don't silence it. Don't numb it. Lean into it. Because God isn't concerned with your popularity. He's not molding you to be admired. He's forming you to be powerful. And real power? It doesn't need a stage. It doesn't need attention. It doesn't need applause. It moves with purpose. It speaks with wisdom. It walks with peace. So, when you find yourself in a quiet season, when the noise fades, the spotlight dims, and the crowd disappears, don't be in a hurry to leave it. Don't go looking for a quick escape. Learn to sit in it. Learn to listen. Learn to become. Because what God is doing inside you during those silent moments is far greater than anything the world could give you in the spotlight. You are not being forgotten. You are being shaped. You are being sharpened. You are being prepared not to impress people, but to fulfill purpose. So stay. Stay in the silence. Stay in the process. Because that's where the power is. And here's a hard truth many never learn. Not everyone deserves access to your journey. Not everyone should sit at your table. Not everyone should know your plans. Not everyone is called to walk beside you. And hear me, that's not pride. That's protection. That's wisdom. You can't build a life of peace if you keep handing the keys to people who only bring confusion, drama, and division. Your purpose is sacred, and anything sacred must be guarded with intention, because the wrong people in the right places will always lead to the wrong outcomes. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to broadcast every move you make. Some of the most powerful moments of your life will happen in complete silence. And the most dangerous thing you can do is share something holy with someone who isn't spiritually mature enough to understand it. Just because someone is close to you doesn't mean they are called to go where God is taking you. Some people may be familiar with you, but they are not assigned to you. And you've got to know the difference. We live in a culture that urges you to post it, to prove it, to publicize it. But listen, your next move should be between you and God. Keep it private. Protect it. You don't need to prove that you're growing, because growth will speak for itself. You don't need applause when you have alignment. You don't need permission when you have purpose. Let your life be the message. Let your character, your peace, and your results do the talking. Because truthfully, some of the greatest setbacks don't come from failure. They come from trusting the wrong voices. Voices you let too close. Voices you invited into sacred spaces they were never meant to enter. Some of our greatest setbacks come from trusting the wrong voice, letting the unqualified speak into places they were never meant to access. Now we uncover why protecting those spaces is more than just wise, it's essential. Because if you're not careful, those same people, whether well-meaning or wounded, can start planting seeds in your soil. Seeds of doubt, seeds of confusion, seeds of fear. And before you know it, you're questioning what God already confirmed. That's why you have to be selective. Not bitter, not cold, just wise. There's a difference between having a good heart and handing it to people who were never meant to carry it. Some folks were just supposed to pass through temporary travelers on your journey, but you gave them permanent residence. Now it's time. It's time to evict what no longer honors your growth. Because calling comes with weight that not everyone is built to carry. It's not about arrogance, it's about alignment. If they don't carry the oil, they can't carry the weight. If they don't understand the cost, they'll never respect the blessing. And here's the hard truth. You've got to stop expecting support from people who were never equipped to support you. It doesn't mean they're bad. It just means they're not built for your path. And that's okay. Let them go in peace. Because God will often strip your circle down before He takes you higher. Why? Because elevation requires separation. And sometimes, the silence you feel in those moments isn't loneliness. It's God clearing the room so He can speak to you without interference. You can't hear clearly when your life is full of noise. You can't grow fully when you're constantly explaining yourself, defending your decisions, performing for people who were never meant to applaud. There is a sacred power in being still, in moving quietly, in trusting that what's meant for you doesn't need to be announced to be secure. So yes, it's okay to move differently now. It's okay to grow distant. It's okay to outgrow people, outgrow environments, outgrow conversations that no longer serve your calling. Because that's what real growth does. It doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you intentional. It creates separation not because you think you're better, but because you're becoming. You've changed. You've matured. You've learned how to value your time, protect your peace, and preserve your energy. And now, you're no longer quick to invite just anyone into sacred spaces they haven't earned. That's not pride. That's stewardship. That's what happens when you finally understand. The more God entrusts to you, the more He expects you to protect it. So let them talk. Let them say you've changed. Let them say you're quiet now. Let them say you've become distant. They don't see the prayers you've prayed behind closed doors. They don't feel the weight you carry in silence. They don't wake up to the calling that stirs you in the middle of the night. No, you're not being rude. A freeing truth. You're not being rude, you're being refined. You're not pushing people away. You're protecting the sacred space where peace, purpose, and prayer are growing. Now, let's talk about what happens when that peace finally becomes your priority. You're not ignoring people. You're ignoring distraction. There comes a turning point in your journey when you finally realize protecting your peace matters more than being understood. You don't owe everyone an explanation. You don't need to justify your silence or your shift. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. Just walk. Just grow. Just focus. Because the people who are truly for you, they won't demand constant access. They won't need to be reassured. They'll respect your silence, honor your process, and if they're meant to walk with you, they'll meet you at the next level. You don't need the crowd to clap. You just need the courage to keep going. And when you finally stop trying to prove yourself, something beautiful happens. You begin to realize that peace is not something you have to find. It's something you build, right where you are, inside of who you already are becoming. Yet so many of us spend years, even decades, searching for peace in all the wrong places. In relationships, in achievements, in possessions, in applause. We convince ourselves that if we can just fix everything on the outside, then maybe the inside will finally be still. But the truth is this: peace was never something outside of you. It's something you create when you stop depending on people and circumstances to deliver it. There's a power that rises in you when you stop watching others and start working on yourself. Suddenly the noise fades, the pressure lifts, and clarity comes. You begin to see clearly what matters, what doesn't. You stop measuring your value by someone else's timeline. You stop comparing your growth to someone else's highlight reel. And in that moment, you experience a kind of freedom you didn't know you needed. You drop the weight of their expectations, and you begin to walk in alignment with your own purpose. And what a beautiful moment it is when you finally realize you don't need permission to have peace. You don't need validation to rest. You don't need applause to keep moving forward. You don't need to meet their standards. You just need to meet God's. And that is more than enough. And when you start focusing on you, not them, you'll notice something. You are wasting so much energy. So much time spent worrying. What do they think? What are they doing? What do they have? Caught in a loop of comparison, in a world that constantly screams, compete, compare, keep up. But when you turn your focus inward, on your own purpose, on your own calling, on your own soul, you become so filled with intention that comparison has no room left to grow. What they have doesn't matter. What they say no longer controls you. Because now, your peace isn't built on public approval. It's anchored in obedience. We uncovered something life-changing. When your peace is rooted in God, not people, not circumstance, says it can't be shaken. Because true peace isn't found, it's formed. And now, we dive deeper into the power that kind of peace brings. There is a profound kind of strength in knowing that your peace lives within you. Not in applause, not in status, not in control, but deep in the stillness of your heart, right where God meets you. When you learn to cultivate peace from the inside out, something powerful happens. No one can take it from you. Life will try, of course. It'll throw disappointments. It'll deliver rejection. You'll face loss, frustration, doors that slam, people who walk away, delays that make no sense. But when your peace is built on the inside, when it's anchored in your identity, not your environment, then nothing can truly shake you. The storm might rage around you, but you'll remain steady, unmoved, rooted. That's the kind of strength we need in this world today. Not the kind that shows off, but the kind that stands still when everything else is falling apart. Because this kind of peace, it's not tied to a moment. It's not tied to a person. It comes from knowing exactly who you are, and more importantly, whose you are. This is peace that flows directly from God. Peace that isn't swayed by change. Peace that holds its ground when everything else is uncertain. And when you find it, when you truly walk in that peace, you'll begin to see the fruit of it all around you. Clarity, confidence, joy, the ability to stand firm when others fall apart. And here's the beautiful part. When you cultivate peace within yourself, everything around you starts to shift. It's almost invisible at first, but undeniable. Relationships start healing. Situations begin to calm. Even challenges lose their grip. Why? Because peace has power. It doesn't just quiet the noise. It changes the atmosphere. When you're at peace with yourself, you stop attracting chaos. You stop entertaining confusion. You stop tolerating toxic energy that drains your soul. And you start attracting the right people, the right opportunities, the right blessings. Because when peace becomes your priority, everything else begins to align around it. The energy you pour into your inner world starts reflecting in your outer world. You carry peace like armor, and people can feel it before you speak a word. So here's the question. Why do we keep chasing external validation? Why do we keep hoping that something or someone out there will finally make us feel whole? Because we've been conditioned to believe that peace is a reward, something you earn, something you find once life gets better. But the truth is, peace is a choice. It's a process. It's a muscle you build from within. And when you finally realize that, you take back control. You stop waiting for someone else to affirm you. You stop depending on perfect circumstances to finally feel joy. You stop begging life to give you something that God already planted inside you. You realize your peace doesn't come to you. It flows from you. And that's where your power lives. Yes, the world will keep pulling. It'll demand your attention. It'll try to shake you, distract you, whisper lies into your soul. You're not enough. You're falling behind. You need to do more. But in those moments, you must remember, peace is your choice. You get to decide. Will you be swept up in the chaos? Or will you anchor yourself in what's unshakable? A critical truth. Peace is a choice, and it's one only you can make. When your peace is anchored in God, you stop chasing calm and start living from it. Now let's see what happens when you protect that peace at all costs. The moment you decide that your peace is non-negotiable, everything shifts. It's like a new filter is placed over your life. One that guards your heart, your focus, your time. No one can disturb your peace unless you give them permission. So stop handing out access to your peace like it's free. Stop opening the door to every opinion, every expectation, every distraction. Focus on yourself. Work on yourself. Let your inner peace be more than just a feeling. Let it become a reflection of your faith, your strength, and your quiet commitment to the journey God has placed you on. And when you live like that, you'll be amazed. You'll start to see how everything else slowly begins to fall into place, without force. There's something truly powerful about being still in a world that's constantly spinning. While everyone else is running, hustling, grinding, and striving to stay ahead, you are learning the discipline of silence. You are learning that real progress isn't always visible. Sometimes, progress looks like patience. Sometimes, growth shows up as stillness. And sometimes, the most productive thing you can do is wait. Wait when others panic. Be calm when others rush. Trust when others doubt. Because it's in those quiet moments that God is doing something deep inside you. Something no one sees. Something no one applauds. But something eternal. It's the kind of work that can't be rushed. The kind of transformation that isn't built in public, but formed in the shadows. The world will scream at you to move faster, to push harder, to do more. But God will often whisper, "Be still. and know that I am God. In stillness, you find strength. In silence, you find clarity. In waiting, you find direction. Because sometimes, the loudest, boldest, most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. Victory isn't always born in the noise. It isn't always found in the hustle. Sometimes, it's birthed in the stillness. In the sacred, quiet moments of surrender, where you finally let go of control and let God take over. When we rush through life, we miss the very moments that matter most. We run past the lessons. We speed by the breakthroughs that were waiting for us in the silence. But when you slow down, when you stop chasing and start listening, you'll notice something beautiful. The more space you give God to move, the more He will reveal. Because here's the truth. Silence isn't the absence of sound. It's the presence of God's hand at work. It's that divine pause where He steps in, not to watch, but to work. When you stop trying to control everything, stop trying to manage everyone, stop micromanaging every outcome, that's when God moves most powerfully. He moves in the silence. He works in the stillness, and He prepares you for everything that's coming next. We saw this truth unfold. Silence isn't weakness. It's where God prepares, strengthens, and speaks. When you give Him space to move in stillness, He reveals what noise will always try to cover. And now, let's bring it all together. We've been taught that noise means progress. That if you're not loud, if you're not seen, if you're not constantly moving, you're falling behind. But the truth? Some of your most important growth will happen when no one's watching. No applause, no spotlight, no cheering section. It's in those quiet, overlooked moments when you feel like nothing is happening that God is preparing you for something greater than you ever imagined. In the waiting, He develops your character. He fortifies your faith. He stretches your patience. He's building you up to carry what He's about to release into your life. And the way He moves, it won't always make sense. It won't always be visible. Sometimes, it'll feel confusing, maybe even frustrating. But if you're willing to wait, to stay silent, and to trust the process, you'll one day look back and see how every moment, every pause, every delay, every silent season was working together for your good. Because it's in the silence that you become stronger. It's in the stillness that your roots go deep. While the world is rushing, grinding, shouting, God gently calls you. Be still and know that I am God. And in that stillness, you find your confidence. You find your peace. You find your power. When you finally quiet the noise around you, you begin to hear what you were missing all along. God's voice, the whispers of your own heart, the truths that actually matter. You start to realize your life isn't defined by how loud you are, but by the depth of your peace, your strength, and your faith. And in that sacred silence, you gain something else. Wisdom. The longer you sit in stillness, the more you learn about who you are. You learn what matters. You stop chasing things that fade, and you start focusing on things that last. Eventually, it hits you. This life you've been trying to build all on your own, it was never meant to be built by you alone. It was meant to be built with God, and it's only when you learn to rest in His presence, to stop striving, to sit in silence before Him, that you begin to see just how massive His plan for you really is. So stop rushing the process. Stop comparing your timeline to someone else's. Their progress has nothing to do with your purpose. Focus on your journey. Stay grounded. Stay quiet. Let God work in the stillness. Because even when it feels like nothing is happening, He is moving. He's preparing you, shaping you, positioning you. And when the time is right, what has been built in silence will be revealed in strength. And in that moment, you'll know it was all worth it. every delay, every hidden season, every silent hour. So stay silent, stay focused, and above all, trust the process.